Hey, what's going on? So, I'm doing a video, and the reason I got into this video was because I'm writing a book on homes and figured out that America is like 10 million homes short that we need, and that's why our houses, more and more people are moving in our homes. And so, I already knew why, our birth rates were low in certain areas and other areas they're not. And I know I've been talking about this for a decade now. All of a sudden, it's in the news, okay? And what happens is, you get the big think tanks, and they talk to you and tell you why, okay? They're at like Harvard and Princeton. There's one called the Depopulation Bomb, okay? Um, and they interview, professors with tenure, and we're going to go over what they say, and it's all good stuff. But there's a lot of stuff they don't say, and they can't say it, okay? Because they're in an institution that doesn't want this narrative out, and why. And so they're going to mix up the numbers too. They're going to talk about birth, they're going to talk about replacement rates and birth rates, and they're going to say there's a 1%, it's only 1% decline. Like for example, what 17 point, okay, for 2023, they'll say, oh, it's we replaced 17.46 people, per thousand, right? And in 2022 it was only 1% lower, and so it doesn't seem so bad, right? Then the professors will tell you, well, you got to have a 1.5. They throw this number in there, 1.5. So a couple should have 1.5. They should at least create one female. Let's just get to what birth rate. We'll call it fertility rate is what you want to look for, because the fertility rate is is how you need 2.1, okay, per couple. Okay, I'm not going to get into all the couple stuff. 2.1, okay, and right now our rates are so low, and you're gonna freak out when you see some of these numbers when I tell you. But the reason these professors, they say they're low, they're saying it's the lowest it's ever been, since 1940, before the war, and then they explain, well, the birth rates jumped up during the Cold War, of course, because all the guys came back, okay, and they said that the last time it was this low was the Great Depression. Well, that makes sense, okay, and they talk about the lowest countries, okay, and they don't give you numbers, but they'll say like Europe, Russia, China. Well, that's because they had the one child policy. They had a one child policy in China from I don't know, 1980 to 1980 to 2016. But now they don't. They're like, if you're married, they give you incentives. They want to have three kids, okay, because they know there's a problem. And so the Great Depression, okay. Now there's a couple things. You guys are all get mad. Some of you people get mad because our president's letting people over the border. And you know what? If you look at the airplane traffic, and you look at there's a guy that likes to Monkey Works, I think it's called, and he'll show you all the military planes flying, okay, back and forth. There's not many flying along the border, okay. They used to be. They're flying across the border, picking people up and bring them here. Okay, we need those girls, and I'm going to tell you why we need them. Okay, we need them in this country. Okay, and so a couple things. We'll just throw these numbers real quick, and then this is a little bit of Marcoism stuff. All right, and so the low fertility rates. Okay, so we said 2.1. Right, now look at this. The worst, the highest. Okay, are Niger, 6.8. That means they have almost 7 kids per couple. Somalia, high, 6.0. Congo, 5.8. Congo, they got to have kids, because all those kids, they're under these little holes mining for metals for our little car batteries, okay? So all those kids are put to work. Those kids don't go to school there, okay? Mali, 5.8. Chad, okay? And Nigeria, 5.3. By the way, these large numbers are all down 15-20%, okay? So they're going down too, all right? Now, those are high. Now, let's go to the low side. Ready? South Korea, 0.9. What do you think is going to happen to South Korea in 50 years? There's going to be nobody left. 0.9. Do you understand? That means two people get married and have 0.9 babies. Okay. Puerto Rico, 1.0. Hong Kong, 1.1. Okay. Singapore, 1.1. Ukraine, 1.2. And, in Ukraine, they just had that war there and a lot of those people left. Okay. So they're going to have less. And I'm going to talk about which was why some of them have less. Spain, 1.2. Okay. And another thing is Europe. Most of the people in Europe, countries in Europe, are all 1.7 to 1.4. And when you talk to these professors, when they're interviewing, oh, well, our kids are turning European. That's why they don't want to have kids. The reason these kids are, well, I'll get into the millennials and the Generation X, why they're not having kids. Okay, I'm still doing a few more numbers. Just Italy, 1.3. Yeah, 1.3. You know how low that is? This is 2023. This is crazy stuff. And, just recently, I've been talking about this for 20 years, 15, 20 years, okay? And Luxembourg, 1.3, okay? Now, and let's do the middle ones. They're all below. New Zealand, okay? Now, these are all countries where people have cars and stuff. We have good doctors. It's amazing how our population rate's dropping, and we have all this medication, and we have all this money, and we're still dropping, right? New Zealand 2.0. They're not going to make USA. I watched this one go from a 2.1 down to a 1.7 is what they're claiming. We're at a 1.7 and dropping quickly. We'll talk about that in a minute. Russia 1.6, Netherlands 1.6, Hungary 1.6, Slovenia 1.6, Poland 1.5. Okay, now let's talk about some things that these think tanks don't talk about. Why? Okay, they say in Afghanistan. Okay, and this one guy on a show, I watch a couple of these things, and he said that certain places they're increasing. Okay, and he says, okay, the places are increasing is still 3.0. Okay, Orthodox and Israel 3.0. Well, you know what? They're trying to say, well, the reason they're higher because the women there can work and they go to school. This is all think tanks talking, okay? But then on the same token, he goes, well, the Arab countries are dropping, okay? The Arab countries are all dropping. Well, what's been going on with the Arab countries? Well, besides our presidents creating boogeymen, okay, and then we create a boogeyman, we go in, look for the boogeyman, we blow the place apart, okay, and what are we using to get the boogeyman? While we kill how many people do we kill in Iran? There's 1 million, 2 million people died, okay, and we're wondering why the birth rates are down. That may be 1 million dead people, but here's the thing. When they showed you, while we were all watching our little CNN and watching those tanks, those missiles that went up, they go, we got tank piercing bombs, right? Into the boom, underground, and blowing up missile base. We're like, ooh, that's so cool. Wow, we're getting a bad guy. Do you know what metal piercing is? Do you have any clue what that is? Depleted uranium. Depleted uranium. So we mine uranium, we use it. The bad stuff we get, the bad stuff we can't use, we put in bullets because it's strong, and we shoot that into third world countries. And what do you think depleted uranium does? It's all over the countryside, little kids picking it up. Oh yeah, I'm sure it affects the fertility. All right, so they don't tell you about all the millions of pounds of, I don't know for millions of pounds, but all the munitions that are scattered all over these countries. Okay, you know what they don't talk about? They talk about, they get in there and these guys talk about, well, the reason our kids, the millennials aren't having kids. First of all, they didn't really know, what it was like during our time because, they didn't really know what a prosperous capitalistic country we had. They went to these universities. We're not going. That's a whole nother video. We're not going to touch that. But they say, well, the problem with these kids today, they don't want to have kids is, because they have pessimism. Okay. Then they say they have hesitance. Okay. Sure, they do. Dependence. Oh yeah. Do you know that now? And I'm doing research because I'm in the middle of writing a book, and I actually was going to publish it last year, but I can't because I got to put in this whole thing about what's going on. with our homes. And dependents, 18 to 32-year-olds, 50% of them have moved back home. Think about that. They're living in the basements, they're living in the attics. A lot of grandmas are back home too, okay, because they don't want to take them, to these old age homes because bad things happen there, right? Plus they're too expensive, and somebody's not working at home now. They got to take care of the house. They're going to take care of kids. They may take care of grandma. Okay, ready? Self indulgence. I mean, these kids, they got no business. They don't even own a house. They get a job, and what do? They lease a car, $500-600, because they want a nice car. They want heated seats. They want to look good, and then they go, instead of like putting stuff in their brain, they put stuff on their brain. Besides this hat, this is a Faraday cage. If you put a phone in this thing, the signals aren't going to go through. Okay, very expensive. This is like $50. I'll put a link down below if you're looking for some. If you're into the EMF and radio frequencies, and that's another thing. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. And then they have division. Okay, we're still talking about why these kids are not having kids, and then they have resentment. Okay, oh, they hate baby boomers. We destroy this planet. All the frogs are dying because the straws are getting into them. Okay, this is the kind of stuff they get fed. They used to have 15-second attention spans. With the vines, and now they got 7 seconds. Now they just flip those short ding 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 6 seconds, 2 seconds. That's how the brain works. Quick, 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 quick. And so they have no clue. Okay. Then these think tanks talk about, well, what do we got to do to live in a 1.5 birth rate? They don't say they make up these numbers, kind of confuse you and how we have to handle it. And it's all propaganda. Okay. And so why? Okay, let's move on here. This is more Marco stuff. Okay. So what else? Okay. What's going on with our kids? Okay. Our birth rate, our kids. It's not just those things. I got notes. I took notes. See right here? The notes right here. Okay. And so this is from the professors. They don't tell you everything, man. Okay, so what they don't tell you is, okay, we had very low birth rates in the 40s, and then, we had a couple good presidents, and all of a sudden it was great. Everybody having babies. Now said, whoa, 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 we got to slow this thing down. Too many babies and more babies over here. And China says, oh, 1 baby per kid, 1980. After we jumped in 1973, Roe versus whatever you want to call it, Mr. Wade, Mrs. Wade. And so we said, oh, abortion. Okay. They don't tell you about that. They don't tell you 800,000. That's something. And by the way, whenever you get numbers, who are you listening to the numbers? I mean, who's coming up with the numbers? They're always going to be spun to one side or the other. Everybody spins everything. It's still the truth. They just know how to spin it. So, for example, I'll give you an example. Lung cancer. Let's say 150,000 Americans die of lung cancer, okay, from smoking, okay? 10,000 die from radon gas. And there's a few others from all the other stuff, okay? They'll say, oh, radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. Okay, so that's how you spin stuff. You're not lying, so be careful of the spin. All right, here we go. Kids. So what happened besides Roe versus Wade? Okay, that was huge. Okay, because now hey, go have sex, no big deal, just a couple $100, it's a done deal. And then right after that, some other countries said only 1 baby for you in China, and they were talking about how we're going to have all these billions and billions of people, and we're going to just like use up all the oxygen. Not happening, man. We are on a serious decline. Now, number 1, soil. What happened to the soil? When I was a kid, I could eat an apple. And an apple was plenty of nutrients for me. And nutrients are really important. Today, that apple, I have to eat 8 apples. I have to eat 8 apples because the soil has been used up and it's got a lot of poison in it, okay, from pesticides and herbicides and fungicides. And so we're not getting the nutrients in the food, okay? And then what happens is you got invasive plants, invasive insects, and now you got to use glycosol, okay? And then you got to do some modification, chemical modification. Then you got to use GMOs, all this stuff, okay? And then somebody in 1980, Rumsfeld, he was one of those guys that was a CEO of of a chemical company, and then he jumped and became a politician. Okay. And then all of a sudden they came up with fake sugar, right? And then Monsanto's bought the fake sugar, and then we all got fat. Okay. Okay. So the fake sugar was in the 80s and going up. So now they started putting all this crap in our food, and the food is bad. Okay. And so what happens is, think about it. Okay. In the third trimester is the most important trimester. If you don't have enough nutrients and you can't produce enough testosterone, a lot of bad things happen with the baby. The baby comes up not too smart. I mean, we've got a lot of problems with, and there's another thing. We have autism rates are skyrocketing. Okay. We could do a whole video just on that if you want, but I'll probably get shut down, so I'm not going to touch that one. But think about it. These kids are like, oh, I don't know if I want to have a kid. I got to wait till I have a kid. So I'm going to go to college and get brainwashed in college, right? And then wait, and then you wait till you're 30, and then you have problems, just normal problems, okay? That's a whole other issue. So you got to hire all these doctors and do all this fertility stuff, okay? And then you're also afraid, I don't want to bring a child in, and he's going to be autistic. So you have that whole thing about being afraid of not bringing. They don't tell you about this. They don't talk about this in those professor meetings, okay? And it's huge. It's really huge, And so then what else? VOCs, volatile organic compounds, and chemicals. Oh my God! Clean your house. Use bleach. You got. When you open up some of these sinks, I'm an inspector. I've done 18,000 inspections in the last 40 years, and now just looking at how people live, and I look, these people super clean. Everything's perfect. I mean, the glass is clean, but if you touch the glass, it's not clean. It's got a layer of some kind of chemical on it, a phthalate, a VOC, okay? So VOCs mess with us. So you're sleeping in bed, okay? And if you can't sleep properly, the VOCs from your dry cleaning are coming in, the VOCs because your mattress is giving them off, okay? Because, synthetic mattresses, okay? And they dip them in all kind of chemicals so they don't burn, so they're more worried about them not burning you up instead of poisoning you. All these things take into play, okay? And then you have what's called stress. These kids are stressed out. When you're stressed, you don't have you got other little lights all over the room. Everything's plugged in. Those lights don't work, and then your pineal gland can't produce melatonin. You can't produce melatonin. You can't get rid of the free radicals, right? So you get sick. Your immune system goes down. Somebody sneezes in an elevator, and you got COVID. Okay, so we got that going on, and so we're not sleeping. We can't sleep. We're stressed out. We got VOCs, and that also hurts the reproductive of these kids. And we won't get into steriles, but a lot of kids they don't got all the little swimming boys, man. They're not all there, okay? They wear tight pants. You can't wear tight pants. Tight pants restricts your whole system. These kids wear tighty jeans, they wear all this stuff, and they don't realize they're just killing themselves. They're destroying the reproductive system. They're not having kids. The think tanks ain't talking about that aspect, okay? And so these are huge, okay? Huge. Chemicals, depleted uranium, okay? Can't sleep. We got stress, glycosol, GMO, fake sugar, soil nutrients, abortion, okay? And autism rates and that whole mental thing. So when they say, oh, the kids aren't having, they're just those things we just talked about. I'm not going to repeat them. All right, so back to the think tanks. So I kind of threw a lot of stuff at you there. And so they're saying that we got lower population and it's dropping. How are we going to combat it? Come up with some ideas, and I'm not going to waste my time with them, okay? Because they're all agenda driven, okay? And so now what's happening is we're trying to bring people in the U.S. They're not going to tell you why, kids in cages and all that. They're flying them in, man. They're flying them in, okay? Because we need them. I hate to tell you this. We need them because the white male is a declining breed. And they actually talk about that. That, the white male is a declining breed. And our Americans, we have a low birth rate. We are a declining breed as well. 1.7 is what we have this year, and it keeps dropping. It's not going to rebound, okay? So basically they said in the old days, we have stop breeding like rabbits, okay? And then stop dying like flies, okay? Well, we're not breeding like rabbits, and we're not dying like flies. I mean, they try to make it look like we are because we're getting sick. Somebody sneezes and we got that thing going around. but we're not. Okay, we're still living a long time. Okay, well, we are. Now, they talk about. They also talk about that our net immigration isn't as high as it used to be either. So it looks like it is. Maybe they're just trying to catch up. They're trying to bring people in. Okay, and so they talk a lot about that. And they said, despite, and here's the things they said. We don't, the way they look at it, like the census just came out, right? We have less new businesses. Well, have you seen a strip mall lately? They're going to start emptying out. The next crash is the strip malls. The ones that are going to follow that are going to be the college campuses. I mean, we're staying home now. I mean, we've learned that we could go to school, we could work out of our houses, and we don't need to go to college and take all them classes that they made us take. I mean, when I went to college, they made me take a bunch of classes I didn't want to take. I had to take them just to get a 4-year engineering degree. I had to take like 10 classes that did absolutely nothing for me. Okay, matter of fact, most of them did nothing for me. And so we're not going to need those colleges because they got rock climbing classes. They have 10 things where you can eat in them. They're gonna go. We're gonna slowly see those. We're gonna move into those houses. All right. So less business creation was huge. Okay. Hey Dale. Hey thanks for coming on. And well, see they said the immigrants are homeless. I don't know about that. I mean, the hotels are dying, but thank God we got Airbnbs. So we are using Airbnbs. What do they do with the southern hotels? They're all filled. They're all filled with immigrants. And not only that, they're getting subsidized. They're getting paid. And I don't have anything. I don't get anything wrong. I'm not against any of that. I'm not those baby cage guy. Okay, I think immigration's great. Honestly, I think it's good, especially since we have a declining race. We're dying, man. We need people to replace us because we're not. Our kids ain't doing it, man. These millennials aren't doing. Generation X, I don't even know if they're smart to figure out how to even do that. These guys, you ever try to order food at a drive-thru or something? These Generation Xers, it's insane. It's insane. Okay, so we also our education system is, we got the best education. No, we don't. We used to. We don't get the best education system. I mean, they're confusing kids with math. I mean, 8 + 1 is 9. It's not 81. But, if everybody in the room thinks it's 81, we're going to go with that. 81. No, man, it's 9. Always been 9, still 9, okay? And what do they do? When I was a kid, you're a dumb kid, right? You go into dumb class. When you go to high school, you take sewing or you take shop and metals and wood, car shop, right? If you're a smart kid, you got the college level classes, right? Nah, man. Now it's the smart kid and the dumb kid in the same room. So smart kid can't get smarter and the dumb kid can get a little smarter. They don't split them up anymore, okay? I don't know if that's a good thing. Plus, there's a ton of countries that have way better education system than we have. Have you seen these schools are building? They tear down these schools, and I did some videos on them. Actually, Channel 3 got an Emmy because one of my videos, because I'm a urban explorer, and I broke into these city schools that were abandoned and showed them how owls and rain was coming down in the libraries. They just let them go, and there's graffiti, and they did a show on it, and sure enough, Channel 3 got a Grammy for that. I don't think they ever called me and thanked me for that. It was my video, my idea, my whole thing. Well, they build new schools. What do they look like? They look like prisons, man. They're like, you think that all the lights and all in every corner is a traffic counting system? You seriously think that? They're building prisons because there's this woman. I don't watch TV. Okay, I mean, if I do watch TV, it's just to see what they say because it's going to be the opposite. I'm not on either side. I'm not on either side. I don't live in a two-choice world. And this girl, Melissa Perry, said, I don't know how long ago, we have to own the children. The community owns the children. You don't own the children. So she said. And we don't. These kids come back out of college, man. They got all kind of crazy stuff going on. Okay, and we're not going to get into all that. Okay, so the education system isn't good. It's not better. There's a lot of so our education is not there. Our labor force, oh my God, we have a low labor force, and It's very low right now. I mean, there's so many people looking for work, they can't find work. Talk to anybody with a small business. And these kids don't even want to show up. And the problem they're having today is they can't get people to show up every day, and they can't get them to show up. Okay, all right, sorry about that. Don't call me. My kid's trying to call me, and you're messing up I'm going live on my cell phone. That's the problem when you go live on your cell phone. People call you, things get messed up. So these kids they can't show up. They don't show up to work. I mean, they don't show up to work, and they don't show up drug free. Big problem. Okay. Now they're saying, well, another reason, another problem we're having is like, we have very high suicide rates, and we have high OD rates. Sure we do. Okay, sure we do. That's a whole nother video. Why we have OD rates? Where's the heroin coming from? That's a whole nother video. And sure, that's all happening. Okay, so we have a very bad workforce. Okay, and it's the lowest it's been in a while. And the problem is that we have a lot of unskilled people, a lot of unskilled, too many of them. Okay, and so moving on here, we're getting close here. Okay, we're getting close, and okay. So another thing they talk about, I was listening to some of these professors. They say that our civilization no longer likes life. They don't like life. They say that. I mean, this is what they said. I go, and if they don't like life, then having children is not really convenient. Okay, and that's kind of true. These kids, they were pampered their whole life. They went to these nice colleges, and they had to pick whatever kind of coffee they wanted, and they would do some rock climbing, take some basket weaving classes, and switch their major like 8 times. And then somebody at a tune about $80,000. Believe me, I know about that $80,000. And so when they get out, they're like, oh, I gotta do something with my life, and I gotta make some money before I have kids. That's a whole other problem. They're holding back. By the time they hit 32, 33, they're gonna have problems, just normal problems. These countries that have the reason these countries I talk about, Niger and Somalia and Congo, Mali, Chad, Nigeria, they all got 5s and 6s and 7s. You know why? Because first of all, they don't practice contraception. Okay, they have early marriages. They don't wait till they're 32 to get married. They're getting married early. They start childbearing age real early. So by the time they're 30, they already got 4 kids. Okay, we're barely trying to get one at 32 because we gotta get our life together. We gotta do everything first. Okay, and they also have high social values. Okay, on childbearing. Okay. And can you close the door, please?
Yeah, I'm getting something from the camera.
Okay. All right. We're going to be ending this pretty soon here because I do much better when there's nobody around the house. And so those are all going on, okay? And so, but guess what? Those rates are still dropping. Why are they dropping? Hey, a lot of, what's it Bill Gates said, if we do that to everybody, we can curb the population growth. He wasn't kidding. We're not going to touch that one. All right. So the thing is that people under 40, hey, Mark, hey, I'm glad you guys are all coming on. John Hart Crane, hey, I watched your video today. I thought it was good. Okay. So people under 40, they don't have any memory of the vibrant private sector that we had as kids. So they have nothing to compare it to. And here's the other problem is we now have a very strange history of very poor leadership. I mean, start with Clinton. And Clinton, first thing he did, it's okay. He was on the Agenda 1 program because the Regional de Janeiro, we got our ass kicked down there, and America was we got to stop you guys. And so he started getting into the Wildlands Project, okay, and introducing. I have videos on this, so check it out. I have Wildlands Project. I have Agenda 21, and he started getting into all that. But he wasn't really a good leader, okay. And then the next guy after him, Bush, okay, and then Obama, and then Trump, and then Biden. These kids have no. They grew up with crummy leadership, complete crap. I mean, right down the line, okay? And so they have these millennials got nothing to look. They've been nothing to look at. They and then they're getting programmed by television. They're getting programmed by the college professors. They got peer pressure. Okay, they're worried about they're buying sweaters and hats and raincoats for their pets. They're having pets, not kids. Okay, and and so this is not going to end quick. I'm going to end this because I got people coming into my house now, and I still had 4 pages to go. But you know what? I'm going to keep making videos. I'll add some of this later. I'm sure I missed a bunch of stuff. But the stuff that was important was those things I talked about that they're not telling, that these college professors and think tanks are talking about in their interviews, why our population really is dropping. Okay, it's dropping because of those 7 items I talked about. Sure, we have the items that we talked about with hesitance, dependence, self-indulgence. That's all good stuff, And this is, whenever you watch these professors, man, it's their opinion. Okay, they're spinning it, and they got to spin it for them, for their college, for their tenure. It's all bullshit. Bullshit. It's all bullshit. Period. They don't want you to know stuff. They don't want you to change. They like it the way it is. They want to keep splitting us up. Every day there's some new thing where they split up a group of, they split up the conspiracy people 5 times already. They split up the liberals 5 times. They split up the Democrats 5 times. They split up the Republicans. You got different kind of Republicans you don't know, but they're splitting everybody up. And when you split everybody up, you cannot organize. And when you can't organize, you can't control, you're a nothing, okay? And that's why certain people make it on YouTube, because they're in the game. That's why certain people make it in Hollywood, because they're in the game. As long as you play their game, you do the narrative, you can make your money, but you are a slave. You are a puppet. And the more you listen to these people, and you need to do your own research. I just gave you a bunch of stuff here. I said depleted uranium. Like, oh, what the hell is that? Look it up. You look it up, and you have a hard time because it's not gonna be on the first 5 pages of Google. They don't want to tell you that we're shooting radioactive bullets in third world countries, and sure, we're trying to blast through underground caverns and go through tanks, but who goes and picks all that up? Why do you think they left half the stuff over in Afghanistan? Man, that stuff is probably. Why do you think all the people that come back from these wars are all sick? They got the high suicide rate. Why you think? You think it's an accident? You think they, saw a couple people get blown up? No, it's more than that. It's way more than that. And so our population is dropping significantly. And certain areas are still up, but they're not going to keep up with us. Okay. And I think I'm going to save I want to talk about the male, the white male, what's happening to him for another video, because I got a couple pages on that. So, hey, I want to thank you all for coming on. This is, I don't know what I'm going to call it. I'll call this probably the truth of the real depopulation. And I'm not really good at reading notes either. There's probably a ton of stuff in there that I didn't even cover. So maybe next time. Hey, rate, subscribe. Also, in about a year or two, I'm going to finish this book. I'll have it. It's going to be a good book. Okay. And I'll have it linked down below. Hey, you want one of these Faraday cages? This is a real tinfoil hat. Yeah, this is a real one. They actually make designer ones for women. They make caps. They make hoodies. $50. Okay, if you care. And oh, by the way, not a bad thing to put on while you're trying to sleep, to get that pineal gland, to kill all the free radicals while you're sleeping. Make sure the lights are off. Make sure it's dark. Make sure make sure that if you got a lot of chemicals in the house, like in a bathroom, a lot of people got all that stuff in the bathroom. Close the door, turn on the fan so you have negative pressure in the bathroom. Hey, Dale. Hey, Mark. Hey, John. Hey, thanks for coming on. So he's making fun of my tin hat. Rate, subscribe. Also, I will have a couple links below for this, and I'm an Amazon affiliate. I make like a dime for every $50. So I'll have some stuff down there, and then share. So thanks for coming on.